So once upon a time, I got arrested in Vegas and spent the whole night in the county jail. Yup, not my finest hour, but maybe one of you guys watching can learn something from it, or take joy in my past iniquities, whatever floats your boat. There's a messed up little twist that got me in that mess, so stick around to find out what that is. I was 23 when all this happened, and when I think back on it now, the whole trip was freaking cursed from the start. It was my friend Tara's 23rd birthday, and she wanted to go to Vegas, and so there was a group of 12 people who were down to be there that weekend for her birthday. We all knew each other through school, and often partied together throughout high school, so it was going to be pretty cool. Everyone kind of clicked up with whoever they were closer with and split the cost of the rooms in Vegas to make it a little bit more affordable, and in my immediate party that I linked up with was one of my good friends Corey and of course Tara. We three were pretty tight on money. I was working a bartending job, Corey didn't really do anything except sell pot, and Tara, well, she was in college and her parents had some money, but we all wanted to budget on the room, thinking we wouldn't really be in the room all that much. We figured it would be better to spend whatever little bit of money we had on booze and getting into clubs and partying, basically just debauchery. Figured all we needed a room for was to lay our heads when we were blacked out drunk. Everyone else was staying at some super nice spot like the Cosmopolitan, the Wynn, the Luxor, you name it. We, on the other hand, found a room at the Circus, which was on the ghettoest side of the strip for like $80 a night. Like every time you turn around, there's another crackhead scattering around the ground out of nowhere type of ghetto. We booked the room for just one night on Saturday and to leave Sunday morning. Everyone else booked 2 nights, Friday and Saturday night. But again, we're poor, and that's what we could afford. These guys were posting all types of dope pictures on Instagram and asking us how they were already there and birthday girl wasn't with them, etc., etc. Talking a whole lot of crap, basically. And seeing that, I got antsy in my pantsy. I called Tara and Corey and said, let's drive up tonight. It was about 5 p.m. at the time, and I convinced them that we can drive up there, get there maybe around 10 p.m., party all night until the sun comes up, and then once it was 10 a.m. or so, we could check in and then crash for a few hours before we hit it hard again. Thinking back on it now, it sounds like a horrible plan, but at the time, I thought it couldn't be any better of a plan. They all agreed, and we hit the road in Tara's Volkswagen Jetta. But before we started the long trek, we decided to stop by the liquor store and pick up a big old bottle of vodka and several cases of beer. Now, if you've been to Vegas before, you probably already know how expensive alcohol can be. So the smart thing to do is get the alcohol beforehand and pregame. And pregame, we would soon enough. The drive takes about 4 hours if you drive the normal speed limit. I offered to drive Tara's car, and she was more than happy to let me take the wheel. And that was all strategic because the impatient guy that I am, I thought we could shave off an hour or so if we just pinned it at like 90 plus miles an hour all the way. And that I did. We were making good time, but about 2 hours into the trip, I suddenly noticed that there were police lights behind us. Just great. We were getting pulled over and my adrenaline starts kicking in. I rarely get pulled over, and being pulled over in the Hills Have Eyes land was giving me anxiety. At this point, I was hoping Tara was going to woo over the police officer, but that didn't happen. I was thinking about pulling the old nip slip technique, but as a cop got closer to the driver's side window, it didn't look like it would have any effect on him, unfortunately. The cop says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" "Too fast?" "Yup, you were going 96 miles an hour. Driver's license, proof of insurance, and registration." At this point, Tara speaks up and says, "This is my car, and he's just driving it for me. The insurance and registration is in the glove compartment." I open it up, and I hand him all the documents, and he walks off. I'm praying to sweet Jesus at this point that he just lets us off, but instead, he comes back with a little ticket and says, "You've been cited for speeding. Make sure you slow down." The cop gets back into this vehicle and takes off eventually, and we just sit there for a minute thinking about what just happened. So I tell Tara, "Okay, I'm done driving. I need a drink." So I go to the trunk and grab the bottle of vodka and jump into the backseat with Corey. He's always down to get into stupid things, so stupid things we decided to do from here on out. For the next hour or so, we pounded that bottle of vodka like it was about to go bad. Needless to say, by the time we got to Vegas, we were already pretty belligerently drunk. It was about midnight by the time we arrived, and we couldn't check in until morning. We had another 10 hours till we could check in, so we just parked the car in the parking lot of Circus and called up the crew to see what they were up to. No answer from anyone. We sent text messages and left voicemails. No one was answering at all. So being that we were in the city that never sleeps, we decided we were going to do just that. Not sleep and continue partying. It wasn't like we could just go to bed unless we wanted to pass out in the car, and I wasn't about to sleep in the car in a dark parking lot with crackheads running around everywhere. So we three decided to start walking down the strip and explore. We figured maybe everyone would eventually call us or something at some point. We went from casino to casino, hitting the bars, ordering shots, drinking more beers, the whole 9 yards. We continued this all the way until the sun came up around 6 a.m. And now I was on the verge of blacking out, stumbling around like an idiot. Around 7 a.m., Tara got a call from one of our other friends, Alex, with the other party. I yanked the phone out of Tara's hand and held it up in front of my face, yelling, or I should say slurring, "Where the hell are you guys? We're in Vegas and we haven't even been to bed yet." Apparently, everyone anticipated us showing up in the morning, so they all went to bed pretty early to be fresh for a full day of partying on Saturday like responsible people. We, on the other hand, did the literal opposite. What we didn't know also was that they had booked a cabana at a day club pool party for Tara called Club Rehab at the Hard Rock Casino and Hotel. We still couldn't check into the rooms yet, and my bathing suit was in my suitcase on the other side of the strip at that piece of crap circus. Tara asked someone from the other party if they could pick her up and, take her back to the car and go grab her bathing suit and all that, which they did. I don't know why I didn't just follow her and get my stuff, but I didn't. I looked down and realized I was already wearing shorts, so I said, meh, good enough. We all met up at Hard Rock to get into Club Rehab, and we had gotten in pretty quickly since we had a cabana already reserved. I felt way cooler than we clearly were at this point and continued to party. The place was freaking popping off. DJ playing music, everyone in the pool partying. The whole thing was pretty dope. But this is where things go south very quickly. In the mix of it all, Corey bumps into me slurring, "What's up, dude? Want to go follow me to the bathroom real quick, yeah?" I tell him, "Bro, just pee in the pool. Screw waiting in that line, that's what I'm doing." He says, "No, bro, just follow me real quick. I need to show you something." I say, okay. So we stumble our way over to the bathroom and see that the line is super long, but there's this little spot that had a circular little bench. He's like, "Let's go here real quick." Once we sit down, he proceeds to pull out a little bag, which appears to have little white substance in it, and shakes it in front of my face. And if you're wondering what that is, it's exactly what you're probably thinking. Nose candy. He says, "Pick me up time." Corey starts doing rails on the little bench, and I just start sitting there wobbling back and forth, watching all of this go down. He asks if I want to try some, and I'm thinking, nah, not really, but what the hell? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Well, not in this scenario. So as I traded places with Corey, I sat down, and all of a sudden, I felt someone grab me by the arm and pull me back. I turn around, and guess who it is? It's a cop again. I look around and no sign of Corey. He freaking booked it. They dragged me out and hauled me out and put me in the back of a cop car, handcuffed, and straight to the local police department. They put me in the holding tank for a few hours and then loaded me up in a big van with about 10 other people straight to Clark County Jail. I spent all night going from holding cell to holding cell until they eventually processed me in and took down all my information. After they took my mugshots, fingerprints, etc., I got put into a final holding cell before I was supposed to get sent to the general population with a bunk assignment. This was the real deal. The waiting for the final move into the bunk was absolutely miserable. I didn't even know when I was going to get out, and I had all the time in the world to think about what the hell just happened and how I was so stupid in trying to do rails in the middle of the damn club out in the open. How was I going to get home? And was I going to be stuck here for months? Years? I was freaking out. So I just laid on the hard concrete floor with a room full of other people from off the strip that were obviously having a crappy night, or day I should say, like myself. They handed out a sack lunch to everyone after what felt like an eternity, but I was starving at this point. So I open it up, and it's a bologna sandwich, an apple, a little milk carton, a stale cookie, and a cup of shaved carrots. The damn bologna was like a 1/4 inch thick for some reason. Nasty, but I ate it anyway. Pretty much the worst Vegas trip for the books for me. After another several hours, I got called out with a couple of other guys and put into this room and handed a piece of paper. They explained to me that I was being released on OR, or whatever the hell that meant. Later found out that that means own reconnaissance, and it had a court date on it to see the judge. It was out for a few months, so I didn't have to come back right away, but if I didn't report on that date, then a warrant would be issued for my arrest. I finally got released out, and I was way off the strip, and it was around like 5 a.m. Sunday. So I called Tara, and she was able to pick me up along with Corey and started the long trek home. The entire ride was awkward as hell, and I missed the entire party night for Tara. They all had a great time time at least, but for me, it was an absolute nightmare. The trip started with me getting a speeding ticket on the way to Vegas and ended for me after a long overnight stay at the county jail, along with a court date to appear for a charge for possession of an illegal substance. That's a whole other story I can get into later, but for now, moral of the story is don't do drugs, be smart, and when you go to Vegas, don't be an idiot like I was. Thank you.